Hello beautiful people of Age of Empires Mobile. Timmy is here with an awesome episode because I'm gonna show you with numbers what's the difference between Yodit as commander versus Mr. Minamoto as commander. We won't need any words for this, like for example better, slightly better, because I'm gonna give you so much numbers. It will absolutely gonna blow you away. So how am I conducting this test? So obviously I'm gonna do 20 attacks like this with Minamoto as commander, and then we're gonna have a look at Yodit as commander in this configuration, again 20 attacks. Who's gonna be the opponent? Well, probably you guys guessed it by seeing my previous episode. That's gonna be the guy, and I'm gonna start actually a battle while I do more explanations like this. And first of all, why 20 battles? Because this is how the things are working in Age of Empires Mobile. You will never gonna get the same result. What you are getting is a result within an interval, which represents basically the worst performance possible from your side. This implies very bad luck with your procs, maybe also very good luck from your opponent on his procs, all the way up to the best performance possible which you can achieve with that setup. This also implies you being absolutely extremely lucky with your hero activation skills, while probably your opponent won't be that lucky. What else is to be mentioned? Yes, these are 40 attacks, and you really see how this goes on and on, because the average battle duration of 40 attacks is round about 1 minute and 30 seconds, and it's super important that I'm not gonna defeat this opponent, because it will gonna remain the same for all 40 battle reports. Just like this. And as I told you, I'm gonna give you an exact number in percentage to highlight the difference between Minamoto and Yodit. So which numbers are important? Let's take basically the last battle report which you just saw here. A super important number which we're gonna need is this number over here, representing the maximum amount of units of the opponent, which remains the same. And this number over here is super important because this is the amount of units still left on the opponent when this match actually died. So this will gonna be a 100%, and we're gonna give this number over here also percentages, and I'm gonna put all the battle reports on the screen. It's gonna be absolutely awesome. Now before we start actually with Yodit, or in other words this exact order, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of doing tests like this. And I'm gonna start first with the disadvantages because I only have found one. Like for example, this is not 100% PvP or playing against another player. And at this point, beautiful people, and hopefully you are watching this episode till the end to see all the numbers, add in the comments what other things would be considered to be a disadvantage to test it in such a way, because that's gonna help me a lot in order to improve the quality of this test and also improving the quality of the numbers. And now to the list of advantages. Well, you can do this all day long. And as I mentioned, the results in Age of Empires Mobile, it's an interval, because the more battle reports you will do, the more accurate this interval will gonna become. And another huge advantage, well, this is gonna cost you no stamina whatsoever. And now let's start actually with this setup over here. And we want to put all the numbers on the screen. Obviously, I can show you first this setup just only one time because nothing changes except the position of the commander. So let's have a look at the gear for Yodit in order for you also to see what kind of gems am I using. These are for the gloves, this is for the chest, and these are for the boots. You also can see now what skills I have in here selected for this setup. Tribuana is 3 stars. This is the gear for her. Let's have a look what kind of gems I'm using on her. This being the helm, these are the gloves, this is the chest, and these are the boots. And let's briefly go also to Minamoto and do literally the same thing. You also see the skills which I'm using and also the ring. And for the Minamoto, I have these gems, which you by the way seeing all the time here. On the helm, these are the gems. On the gloves, these are the gems which I'm using on the chest, and these are the gems which I'm using on the boots. Good. So here are the numbers, beautiful people, of 20 attacks. They are sorted in percentage. And what exactly does this mean? The lower the percentage number, actually the better the performance is, because this number is representing the amount of units still left alive on the boss. And that's why we see on position number 1, 59.21%. This is the best performance possible for this setup, which you see on the screen. While the worst performance possible is all the way down, 76.62% of units still left alive on this boss. And this is the next super important number, which you're seeing here. The average March performance of this setup is to be estimated at 66.68% under these specific test conditions. Now let's have a look how Minamoto will perform as commander. So that's exactly what's going to happen right now. We're going to switch the position. I'm going to take a second the results from Yodit down to see the results from Minamoto crystal clear, and then we're going to put all together and analyze this super awesome. And hopefully you're curious to see what's the exact percentage difference between Minamoto and Yodit as commanders. And here are the 20 battle reports, again in percentage and also sorted from all the way up, the best performance possible, 44.51% of units still left alive on the boss while running this configuration, to all the way down, the worst performance possible with Minamoto would be 76.47% of units left alive on the target. Meaning, in other words, a super important number right here is the average March performance of 60.79% units still left alive on the boss. Again, numbers which are only valid for this specific test in this video. Now, let's put both numbers on the screen and draw a conclusion and see where the difference is. Okay, so here are the results for both marches. First of all, we start with the left side, in which you're seeing here on the screen also that Yodit is the commander, and this is the March performance. An average of 66.68% units left alive on the target, while on the right side of the screen, you're actually going to see this, Minamoto as commander, Tribiwana and Yodit, and the average March performance of this setup is 60.79 units left alive on the target. So what does this mean? That the best setup possible from the commander perspective between Minamoto and Yodit, it's actually this one over here, Minamoto, Tribiwana and Yodit, and the difference is 5.89%. It is slightly better. But you know what, since this number, 5.89%, is actually super small, before we're gonna go exactly to the battle reports, which are marked here in gray, because this represents the average performance of both marches, we wanna have a look specifically of those battle reports in game. First of all, let me show you something even different in order to enhance this very small number of 5.89%. And for that, let's have a look at the intervals. And for that, you see me on both sides, I have marked the best performance possible in green, the first 3 results, versus the worst performance possible, marked in red, the last 3 results. And from this perspective, when we have a look at both sides, from the worst performance possible, this means, in other words, you're going to be extremely unlucky with your hero activation skills. Maybe on top of it also, of course, your opponent will be super lucky with the activation skills. We see basically not a big difference. But when it comes down to the situation in which you're going to be extremely lucky, well, when we have a look at both sides, just the first 3 attacks, what you're seeing here, Minamoto performs slightly better. But I have to mention this crystal clear, beautiful people, because this is also the way you should understand these numbers. This is not a guarantee. This video literally defines the results interval, meaning, in other words, yeah, it's possible when you go on the battlefield with a setup like this, Minamoto, for example, Tribiwana and Yodit, and it's possible for you to be super unlucky and reach a result somewhere here, 76.47, which is absolutely very unlucky. It doesn't mean that after more attacks, of course on the same target, you can get other results within this interval. So in other words, the numbers which you are seeing here and this analysis in this video is best to be used from this perspective. Having these 3 heroes, what would be the best performance having these 3 heroes? And obviously you can speculate on Minamoto, Tribiwana and Yodit and hope to be super lucky sometimes, but obviously you can be also very unlucky. So beautiful people, let's jump now to the super important part, because we want to see what do these numbers exactly mean, which you see now on the screen marked in gray. And for that, we're gonna pick these two attacks and go have a look at them. So first of all, I would like to start with a setup in which Yodit is the commander, just like this. And let's go have a look at exactly this result, 66.71%, because I actually saved it. So we're gonna go now to my favorites, and this is the exact battle report representing this 66.71%. And let's go have a look at the comparison, by the way. And what's super important here is obviously, first of all, the stats. So what happens here, Yodit as commander, you see this would actually represent her performance and the amount of damage done. You also see here the performance of Tribuana, also 6.3 thousand units healed by Tribuana. And this is the performance of Minamoto. Obviously, let's go to the details. It's super important for you guys also to see the average hero skill activations. We want to look first on Yodit, then let's have a look at Tribuana, and then let's go all the way down and have a look at Minamoto. That is this performance which you're seeing right here, the average performance of this match under these test conditions. But you know what? Let's have a look now at Minamoto. So for that, first of all, I'm gonna change Minamoto like this, so it's super clear, and let's add the numbers of Minamoto on the screen. And let's go find exactly this average match performance, which is 58.81%. And yes, indeed, people, I have saved these battle reports. All we have to do is to go to the favorites, and this is the one. And let's do the same. Look at the comparison, because first of all, we want to have a look at the stats. Super important. So here is what's happening here. So you see this average performance of Minamoto being in commander. Minamoto gets actually a lot more damage, while Yodit also gets a lot of damage, even though she is not the commander. Obviously, we have to mention here 4.2 thousand units healed by Tribuana. And this is the deeper explanation of this 5.89%. But you know what? Let's do the same, and let's have a look at the details. You want to see the hero activation. So in this case, Minamoto is the commander. This is the skill activation for him. Let's call towards Tribuana. Let's have a look at activation skills on Tribuana. You see the numbers here. And of course, obviously, let's go all the way down and have a look at the activation skills or proc chance of Yodit. So beautiful people, here is again the difference in numbers and the performance when Yodit is the commander. And here is the performance when we see Minamoto being the commander. And of course, the difference shown in percentage under these test circumstances shows us that using Minamoto as commander, we're gonna give this hero setup a 5.89% better performance than when we have Yodit as commander. So beautiful people, if you found any value in this video, obviously I'm gonna strongly encourage you guys to come in the comments and share your thoughts based on this test, based on these results, and also on top, rate this video from this perspective. How valuable are these tests? How valuable are this type of videos? And obviously, if you like to support me, the best way to do so, it actually doesn't require you any money whatsoever, because you should subscribe to this channel. Obviously, share this channel with your friends, especially if they are playing Age of Empires Mobile. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna catch you in the next awesome episode. Ciao, guys.